Are you tired of fighting your team as much as the enemy? Do you believe you would do much better on your own? Do you want to make some dank RP? Fear no more! Thanks to Battle Royale, now you can get shot from behind by some guy a kilometer away as you're trying to escape the zone of certain death. Welcome back to War Thunder, by the way. This is the KV-220. And if you're wondering what this tank is and why you don't have it in your hangar, well, this is a Soviet event vehicle, which you can't really get anymore. But more on this a little bit later. Hello you sexy beast and welcome to Battle Royale, and this is about the title with a very smart wordplay on Gaijin Unknown's Battle Royale grounds or something like that. I know I'm late to the party, this event has ended already. It was going on during the weekend and saw us having a new kind of minigame game mode event, which actually was quite good for grinding if you could win, which as we are going to see later on in this video. In this particular gameplay we are on Advanced Rhine in our KV-220. This thing, as I said, is a Soviet rare event tank at battle rating 5.3 if I'm not mistaken, and features an 85mm cannon as well as pretty dank armor. How dank, you ask? Well, both the front and the sides of the hull are 100mm thick. Over 100mm thick, I believe, as well as the front of the turret being over 100mm thick, which turns this thing into quite a angling beast. And since this thing is only at 5.3, it will never face 6.7s, and as such, the armor is actually worth something. Now of course you trade off with that in having pretty poor mobility. Okay, it's not too slow in a straight line as Soviet heavy tanks tend to be, but given the overall length of this thing, which I believe is mounted on a chassis similar to the SMK, so pretty damn long, this is essentially a land battleship just with one turret, it isn't exactly the most maneuverable in these tight quarters. Now, what is the Battle Royale game mode? Well, essentially it's exactly like every other Battle Royale game you've ever seen out there. You spawn into your tank, into a zone, you play all by yourself, and you have to, well, make it into the safe zones in time. As you can see on the bottom right corner of the screen, the minimap is looking mostly red. All those red zones are death zones. Those are out of bounds zones. Now you do not immediately die when you touch those red zones, thankfully, but you do get a countdown timer as if you were leaving the bounds of the battle zone. It gives about 20 to 25 seconds to try and make it back in. Now this event was held in two game modes, arcade and realistic. I'm playing in realistic here, of course, myself. Haven't actually tried the arcade mode simply because I do like being a little bit more sneaky. And given that this game mode is all about you being by yourself, there's no one to help you, no squads, no nothing. It is you versus the world. It is kind of important not to be spotted in the first place. And in fact, that's the tactic I've seen be most effective in this game mode, just being still as long as you can. The more you move, the easier it is going to be for the enemy to spot you. Now up until this point, we've passed a couple of minutes of not really doing anything. We've been laying in ambush, essentially camping, if you can call it, in War Thunder, and now we are moving towards the last two zones. Now there are still two enemy tanks left over. One of them has just spotted me, Tiger 1, which can definitely penetrate me, but as the guy tries to angle his hull towards his left side to present me less of a target, he fucks up and turns his turret as well, which makes it very easy for me to just poke out and go right through the front of his even angled hull. The 85mm cannon on this thing is not too bad, and Tiger drivers everywhere know what an 85mm cannon can do to the front of your tank. Tigers aren't really quite as strong as they are anymore. I am planning on doing kind of a rant video on this, but I think it has actually been covered by some other YouTubers recently, so it might not ever happen. And at this point I am all alone against one more tank. Only two players are left in this game. Which also means there's only one player left between me and the victory here. Or defeat in this case. The last enemy player is a Japanese Tiger, so essentially the same as the thing that I just shot at. But I have no idea where this guy is. Now the Tiger is surprisingly a smaller target than the KV-220. Not much more mobile of course, but that 88mm cannon can be deadly, and even my armor won't be able to stop him if he catches me unprepared. So I'm doing very, very careful maneuvers here. I stop at every corner, try to angle my armor around the corner as much as I can, stop for a second, try not to make too much noise. You can hear the engines of the enemy tanks, by the way, which you probably have seen yourself in the game. So I'm trying to listen for every single sound that I can, and just hear the background noise, and it's just so spooky being in this destroyed city, hunting down the last remaining player, and there he is in front of me. Now, I try to angle my armor and he shoots for the angled front. What are you doing, dude? Gives me all the time in the world to finish him off with an ammo rack. I had to say my heart was pounding at this point. I celebrate with some machine guns and I get, whoa, 25,000 research points for 2 kills in less than 10 minutes? Yes. I actually posted this result on Twitter as well, which, by the way, if you haven't followed me yet, at MTV on YouTube, go follow me, it's nice. That is pretty insane. That is really insane. Sadly, you only get this result when you actually win the event. This is the second game, well, not quite the second game, but the second game that I'm going to show you guys in this video. We are on El Alamein, which is probably the worst map for this kind of event mode, and at the same time kind of the best. We are driving the G.Skill. This is a premium rank 3 Japanese tank, if I'm not mistaken, which is by itself pretty crap. The mobility is crap, the armor is crap, the turret traverse is crap. Most of the tanks are really quite crap. Yet, this thing has one very redeeming feature. At a battle rating similar or equal to the Panzer IV F2, this thing gets the Type 5 cannon. And all you Japanese tank drivers know what I am talking about. Tanks up until the Type 5 cannon are kind of bad for the Japanese. The Type 3 cannon that comes before this has really bad penetration. I think the APHE shell is only 98mm of penetration, which is quite bad. This Type 5 cannon takes the same caliber of 75mm, but puts it on a much, much longer barrel. This results in an incredible penetration and muzzle velocity, which makes it very easy to snipe at long distances, as the T-34 is about to find out. Using the rangefinder, I get the first range in. Since the guy was moving, I did want to make sure that my first shot hit, and this is very useful in this Battle Royale game mode as well, since you do not want to be giving away your position if you can help it. I'm using these dunes here to spot around, look around what I can see. Of course, very useful that I can essentially hide my tank and just use the third-person view to look all around me, as well as using the binocular view to view over the dunes. I've actually explained this whole mechanic in a different video, which is kind of outdated now that the menus have changed, but I'll link it anyways for you guys to see how you can range find, how you can adjust the sight, and how you can nail those long-range shots. Now we're going to spend a couple of minutes here trying to spot some enemies. The zones are creeping ever closer, but at this point I don't really know what the zones do just yet. This is one of my first games. In the distance we spot a lone Panzer IV who is escaping the zone. That guy is pretty damn far away. This is going to be the longest engagement we're going to have this game. 1000 meters away, I use my sight adjustment control to put it on the 1000 meter line. One shot, disable the driver and the transmission. Great! Of course I would have preferred to get him in one shot, but immobilizing a tank at this range is not a bad idea. The second shot sadly goes low, penetrates through the road wheel and explodes under the tank, not doing any damage, but the third shot nails him. He does get a return shot in, but he didn't really have any time to properly range his shots. And chances are, if he doesn't have a fully upgraded crew, he wouldn't even have been able to use his rangefinder to this range. That's something that I forgot to mention in the guide that I did. But your crew training skill rangefinding does determine the distance up to which you can rangefind. If you have a stock rangefinding skill, you can only rangefind up to about 650 meters, if I'm not mistaken. If you have a fully upgraded crew, you can rangefind up to 1100 meters, if not 1200 meters. Now, I am out of the battle zone at the moment, as you can see. This was the first time I've ever encountered this, and I was kind of panicking. I saw the counter going down, and I finally make it inside. Now, I cannot simply rush in. What I should be doing right now is probably go towards the center of the map. But given that I'm all alone in the middle of the desert and I have no idea where the rest of the enemy team is, and given that they probably have heard my shots against the Panzer IV as well, I am very, very careful. Now thankfully the next battle zone change is on the top right corner of the map, so I do have a little bit of time before the next zone change hits me, over a minute in fact. And I believe that I can make it back inside if it just so happens. Now I'm trying to go along the outskirts because I'm pretty sure that no one's going to be behind me, or else they would be all dead at this point. And I try to get onto another dune to see what I can snipe. It's pretty useful to have always a very good sense of, well, attention to detail, attention to movement, and always stop and see what is around you. The Battle Royale mode really is all about not being spotted in the first place. Now towards the right I am expecting some people to go up there, since that's where the main map is going to be. And I spot what looks to be a M24 Chaffee in the distance. The guy's 800 meters away and moving away from me. So, range finding, get the sight distance control on check, estimate somewhere about where I have to lead. Thankfully the muzzle velocity of this cannon is very quick, and once again I immobilize him, get his driver, get the transmission. Second shot doesn't quite kill him and gets absorbed by the engine. Thankfully I did get the gun, so he cannot shoot back at me. Then again, the M24 Chaffee wouldn't have been able to do much with that short 75-meter cannon at that range. Third shot gets him down, but I am kinda screwed now. Now this guy gets incredibly salty in the chat, so do watch on the bottom left corner to see what this guy is going to say. But yeah. Remember at the start of this game how I mentioned that this thing isn't exactly the most mobile thing around? The narrow tracks are not ideal for clearing soft terrain. And sand is pretty much going to be the softest terrain you're ever going to find. And it's not going to make it easier when I have to climb a sand dune. I think you can see where this is going. I try to make it back to the zone. I'm rushing as far as I can, but sadly I will not quite make it. And this is really the biggest problem of this map. If you don't have a very fast tank like an M18, you can literally spend the entire game being chased across the battle zones and just die. So close, but no cigar. So, what do we get for 4 kills this time? So double the kills and more time? Not really much. The RP gain is absolutely abysmal if you don't win the game, which means that, well, most of the lobby is not really going to make anything. But in those rare occasions where you do win the game, you make a shit ton of RP. Anyways lads, hopefully you have enjoyed this video on the Battle Royale game mode. It is not available at the moment, so don't even try to ask for it in the comments. Maybe we'll see more of it. I'm guessing this is some kind of test of Gaijin to figure out different game modes. Definitely some things that I would change about this is the way that the zoning works. It just isn't good for slower tanks. You usually can't play a slower tank on this game mode since you just simply die. You have no chance of getting into zones. The LLA main map is really unbalanced when you spawn on the dunes, and you have to always constantly run from the battle zones and just get shot out in the open. Overall, it needs a little bit of balancing, but it was actually quite fun. Anyways lads, my name's MikeGoesBoom, and I'll see you in the next one.
You can lift your head up to the sky, take a deeper breath and give it time. You can walk the path among the lines with your shattered frame of mind, or instead you could always stay. We can wait right here and play until somehow you can find